Welcome to the classroom. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
Chapter 7, Management. Sir Richard Branson owns a few islands in the Caribbean, an airline and a brand named Virgin, which has multiple business interests in many different industries. Steve Jobs was the co-founder of the multinational Apple brand. He worked and brought it the success that it knows today. What was the secret to their rise to power? How did they make the right friends and influence the right people to find success, not only for them, but for the thousands of people whom they employed? Perhaps by the end of this chapter, we will have a clue of what they did right. Management refers to the manner in which any situation is handled. In order to manage an event, the manager must plan for what must be done, organize the resources needed for the plan to succeed, lead people to make things happen, and finally control that the event occurred as planned. Now, before I go far, do you remember when we spoke about the government and the levels within the government? We said that government has got 3 levels to it: the presidency, the premiers, the provincial government, the councillors, and the local government. So, as an example, over the past few weeks, we have seen President Ramaphosa come onto our TV screens to reassure South Africans that the situation with the COVID-19 is under control. Every Monday, he writes a letter to the country to explain certain decisions and why they were made. He has good communication skills, which are important for any leader in top level management to have. After he has made his pronouncements, he refers us to the various ministers and premiers, who then add more detail to the president's announcements. They are an example of middle level management. Then I know that we have unfortunately also seen the councillors in local government, some of whom have been accused of stealing food parcels. They are a bad example of what could go wrong in low-level management, the people who spend more time with the average citizen or worker. So essentially, you have good leaders and good managers. And for any business or organization to be run successfully, good managers and leaders are needed. So what makes a good leader? A leader leads or guides others. They are in charge or in command of others. Normally, they are someone who heads a political party or organization, as we see with President Ramaphosa. A leader has people which follow them. A leader wins followers. A leader exercises power over people, which means that they also have a lot of responsibility. And then the manager is responsible for supervising and monitoring employees and directing the progress of an organization. For example, Sir Richard Branson.
What is a company? A company is a group of people. And that really is all a company is. And so if you're going to have a group of people together, they must be happy people. And if they're going to be happy people, they've got to be led by somebody who is happy themselves, who loves people, who cares generally about people, and who looks for the best in people, who is somebody who doesn't criticize, but who praises and brings out the best in people. So we look for people who are are great leaders of people because they genuinely care about people, and I think we're lucky at Virgin. That's the kind of people we've got. Now, if a company brings in somebody into a company that's not that kind of person, they can destroy a company very quickly. If you destroy the morale in a company, it's very, very difficult to get that morale back. And so we try generally to promote from within our companies, so we know people's strengths and weaknesses before we promote them. We do sometimes bring people in from outside, and we try very hard to make sure that they're the kinds of people that we'll get on with. I'll give you one example.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was interviewing somebody who was coming to my country from the overseas. There were 6 people coming for a job. I knew what time they were arriving at the airport. So I dressed up as a very old taxi driver, and I had a whole new face put on. And I went to the airport, and I acted like I was 90 years old, and I had a stick in one hand. And as they came out of the airport, if they asked me to carry their heavy bag, they didn't get the job. But the ones that actually carried their own bags and helped me into the car, they were the ones that got the job at Virgin.
Steve Jobs.
What's the most important thing that you personally learned at Apple that you're doing it next?
Good question. I'm not sure I learned this when I was at Apple, but I learned it based on the data when I was at Apple. And that is, I now take a longer-term view on people. In other words, when I see something not being done right, my first reaction isn't to go fix it. It's to say, we're building a team here, and we're going to do great stuff for the next decade, not just the next year. And so, what do I need to do to help so that the person that's screwing up learns versus how do I fix the problem? And that's painful sometimes. And I still have that first instinct to go fix the problem, but that's taking a longer-term view on people is probably the biggest thing that's changed. And then I don't know, that's, maybe the part that's biological. But yes.
To follow up on that question, I want to ask you about your management style and specifically how do you resolve conflict within your organization?
What's our management style? How do we resolve conflict? I've never believed in the theory that if we're on the same management team and a decision has to be made and I decide in a way that you don't like, and I say, come on, buy into the decision. Buy into it. We're all on the same team. You don't agree, but buy into it. Let's go make it happen. Because what happens is sooner or later, you're paying somebody to do what they think is right, but then you're trying to get them to do what they think isn't right. And and sooner or later it outs, and you end up having that conflict. So I've always felt that the best way is to get everybody in a room and talk it through until you agree. Now, that's not everybody in the company, but that's everybody that's really involved in that decision that needs to execute it. And so that's how we try to run Next. The way we run Next is we have a team at the top we call the policy team. There's 8 people. Mike is on it, I'm on it, we have 6 other people on it. And the key, we have 2 things we try to do. One is we try to differentiate between the really important decisions and the ones that we don't have to make. And the really important ones, we work on it till we all agree. Because we're paying people to tell us what to do. In other words, I don't view that we pay people to do things. That's easy, to find people to do things. What's harder is to find people to tell you what should be done, right? That's what we look for. So we pay people a lot of money, and we expect them to tell us what to do. And so when that's your attitude, you shouldn't run off and do things if people don't all feel good about them. And the key to making that work is to realize there's not that many things that any one team really has to decide. And we might have
Steve Jobs
25 really
managed
important
his
things we
organization,
have to decide.
successfully so after his first few failures. He managed his employees and made sure that his artists were happy, that the people who work in research and development were happy. He did such a great job that Apple became the success story that it is today. A manager has people that work for them. A manager develops power with people. So top level management. These people will make long-term, non-routine decisions to steer the business in the right direction. South Africa is a business. And at the moment, President Ramaphosa is trying to steer it in the right direction. Essentially, top management is accountable to the shareholders, and they must act ethically, meaning they must not lie and cheat. Tonga Hewlett, the sugar company, has lied about their accountancy, and because of this, the company's share price dropped over 90% in just 1 year. The same couldn't be said of some of the situations during the presidency of Jacob Zuma. A lot of lying and cheating happened. So much so that there is still a commission of inquiry being led into state capture and corruption. And I am sure that if you watch the news, you all should know how detrimental this all has been towards the business of South Africa. At the moment, we are sitting as a junk status economy, which will mean that getting investments into South Africa will be far more difficult than it previously was. Top level management in a publicly listed company would consist of the board of directors and the chief executive officer. Top management must coordinate the decisions and functions of middle management. This leads them to having control over middle management. So they will give instructions to the departments. They'll control aspects such as budgets, policies, and schedules, and ensure that all departments keep or stick to their budget.
Thank you for joining us in this lesson. If you learned something, give the video a like, share, and subscribe for more great content.